Welcome, man. This is Andre Gabori from The Bulletproof Husband. Hope everyone's doing well. I have Gabe here with me, one of our clients, one of the men that has seen tremendous success in his marriage, and so wanted to share Gabe's story. And I have Gabe here with me to actually share it himself and kind of give you a little bit of an introduction. Hey, Gabe, how's it going?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Awesome. Give us a little intro. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
48-year-old male. Uh, just finally enjoying my marriage through the program. Just at work right now, but definitely excited to do this conversation.
Awesome. Awesome. So what does home look like to you? Tell us a little bit about where you were before you started working with us. What were some of the challenges you were facing, and kind of shed light on what brought you to us?
Well, my marriage had been pretty bad for the last couple of years, and last year my wife had asked me to move out last July, and I fought it because that's not what people who are working on their relationship do. And that's not what I saw in my parents, who had married 50 plus years. So I fought it and moved into the basement, tried to do it that way. And then finally in December, agreed to move out. January 2018, I moved out. About 2 weeks later, I discovered the Bulletproof Husband program online. Actually through Facebook, I believe there was an ad or something, and I must have been researching how to make myself better, and that came up. But it was really a bad situation, lots of fighting, arguing. It was just bad, and it was, I can't even tell you, it was awful. We wouldn't look at each other, in the house. So
Wow.
I needed to fix it. I needed to improve it.
Okay. And you've done some work prior to working with the Bulletproof Husband. You were doing research, reading books,
Counselors, marriage counselors, books, you name it. I think I tried everything almost.
What was wrong with them, or what wasn't working? Because we find this a lot with men where the typical process that men go through is the wife is giving signals, she's giving signals, you ignore it, she's giving signals, you ignore it. And then all of a sudden you just wake up and you get a slap in the face. She says, I want to leave. I want you to leave. I want to divorce, or I cheated. And that gets men into action. They start to research, go to counseling, therapy, this, that. What was missing? You got all these resources. What was missing?
The counselor, I don't believe to this day now, as far as a marriage counselor goes, it seemed more of a venting session to complain about each other. Nothing was being improved. Yes, this is how you communicate yourself to your spouse if you don't like it, but it was just venting, and it wasn't going anywhere for years. We went to the counselor. 75% of our marriage was at the counselor, and it didn't do or change anything. It didn't change my perspective, because I felt like I was a good husband. I didn't go drinking. I didn't smoke. I didn't do anything. I worked. I brought home the money. I, did everything that I could that a good husband should do. And, when she finally told me, I need my space, I need you to move out, it kind of hit home as to what I need to do. But every book was different. I think I read about 20 books in 3 or 4 months, period, about becoming a better husband, and everybody had a different opinion.
Wow.
Be there, smother her with attention, blah, blah, blah. And she just wanted me away from her. So
yeah, and it's very typical. Now, most men say it takes two to tango to fix the marriage, but unfortunately, it's not true, because by the time you get to a point where you seriously want to work on the marriage, she feels exhausted and tired.
Right.
So, and then, naturally the next step that men go to is, well, okay, I got to work on myself. But that's not enough either. You have to, there's a point where you work on yourself so that you're ready to then work on the marriage without her involved, which is the critical part. Okay, now, why the Bulletproof Husband? I mean, we're just some online organization advertising on Facebook. All the other scammers are doing the same thing. What is it about us that had you have the level of trust where you were able to make that leap of faith and say, you know what, I think these guys can potentially help me?
Well, originally I watched the free video that, I clicked on the link and it took me to the free video, and a lot of the suggestions or conversations were, it was like my aha moment. It was like, wait, I do that. Oh, I do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I really need to stop doing all these things. It felt like the free video was describing me.
Yeah.
And so I decided that, okay, I would make the phone call or schedule a phone call with you, and you were able to right off the bat pick a couple of things out. I just said one or two things, and you changed the outlook of how I looked at those bullets, for example. And I said to myself, well, if a short conversation more was accomplished than 3 years of counseling, and there's got to be something to it.
Okay. Well, thank you. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And yeah, we always provide a lot of upfront value because we get it. Like, there's two reasons why I started the Bulletproof Husband with my team. And the first one is saving children's lives, right? Because when mom and dad don't get along, it's really the kids that take the most damage.
Right.
Even though oftentimes we don't see that, it's difficult to see because we have all these emotions and hurts. And then of course there's no, seeing men walking around with all that hurt and pain and not knowing what to do next really brought us to looking at what's missing. And what was missing is a manual, is a step-by-step system. And so I was able to, thank God, shed some light on for you as to what are some components of that manual. So that's awesome. Now, what was it like? Like, tell me a little bit about your first few weeks, first few months with the Bulletproof Husband, because I remember it got worse before it got better.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Talk a little bit about that and why and how that shifted.
Well, part of it was, number one, I had just moved out, so it's the first time I'd been on my own in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was disparaged about the status of my relationship. It took some time for me to understand that constantly being there at my wife's feet, taking care of her, doing whatever I need to do was not what needed to happen. Now, I was by myself. I was in an apartment. I was away from my son. It made me upset. And really, I think that one of the worst times for me in the program was actually not because of me, but because of what one of the other guys were going through. It really bothered me. I had a hard time understanding why the program should be continued if
I remember that.
If a guy's wife is cheating on him, because to me that's like the ultimate sin. I still can't say that I would necessarily get over it, but I think I would handle it a little better now. And he was just, venting, and I'm like, how can we keep expecting this guy to continue to go with the program and do what he's got to do to keep his relationship going, when clearly his wife's running around? That bothered me. I almost quit. I almost quit, but I stuck with it. And really, for me, my aha moment in the program was when I got to the point and I said to myself, I'm doing this for myself, and it doesn't really matter whether or not the relationship succeeds. It really did. It had to, I had to be comfortable with the fact that I'm improving myself. And if for some reason my wife doesn't decide to take me back or stay in the relationship, I'm okay with it.
And you'll be a better man as a result of it. Yeah. And the critical part of that is the expectations, right? As soon as you come from that place, you don't have any expectations anymore because you're truly, but you got to really do it for yourself. So a lot of men say, you know, I'm working on myself. But when you can truly feel inside that no matter what, this is really for me. And if I can look in the mirror and say, yeah, I did this for me. I'm a better man. I'm closer to the man I've always wanted to be. Then you'll recognize that she would be stupid to leave you, because you're a different man. So, okay, awesome. And when you had that aha moment, what shifted? How were the actions and your way of being around your wife, around yourself, around in the program? How did that shift?
Definitely more confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I was not, I don't want to say instantly, but pretty close to no longer needy. I didn't need her attention. I didn't need her approval. I didn't need anything that, you know, I felt like, oh, you know, Gabe's a good guy because his wife says so.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I knew what I was doing and I was improving for myself. And that's when she really started to notice it. When you know, I'm improving and nothing is like setting me off, or if we have a conversation about this or that, I'm not getting emotional, or whether it's emotionally upset or emotionally angry, just cool, calm, collected. And sometimes not quite don't give a crap, but it almost, you would have thought, okay, whatever, well, it happens, you know. And that's when she really started to notice the change and in what was going on.
Yeah, and I think it had a lot to do with you not compromising yourself. So being very clear about what you stand for as a man.
Right.
And then what's her role in that? And because as soon as you get to that level, arguments go away, right? Because either you don't compromise yourself or you let her, what we call, manage the relationship, because she's a lot better at it. And so I remember that was a big shift. Now, where are you at now? So, you know, let's forward a few months ahead. What's the status?
Well, almost 3 months to the day of moving out, I was invited to move back home.
Wow.
It was very, you know, she asked me to move back home before I paid another month's rent. And definitely things are going very well. Still, there are always things that she's gonna try to trigger me. And she's just, it's nice. She feels more comfortable that, hey, I don't get upset or blow up or anything like that. So it just, it's much better. I mean, you know, I want to say we're stronger than we ever were.
And that's where rebuilding the marriage comes in, right? We use the word rebuild because you never want to go back to once upon a time when you were happy, because that at the end, that'll let you here. So you're creating something new.
Right.
So that's awesome that you're getting that experience. Okay. So she asked you to move back. Awesome. Together. What is it about you that doesn't get you triggered anymore? Because she's still testing you. And the reason she's doing that is because it's a sign of a strong woman, one. And two, she cares enough about you to test you.
Right.
So why not get triggered? Why no arguments? Why are you such a rock solid husband that no matter what she says or does, you're still unencumbered by your emotions, and you're not taking action from that trigger place.
Well, I give myself an extra second, number one, to react. Number two, it's just part of it, trying to be the bull and steady. But I have to tell myself that whatever it is, it's not worth an argument. It's not worth fighting. It's not worth going back to how things were. And every time I do that, because I mean, things come up, of course.
Yeah, every marriage. Yeah,
sure.
Of course.
Every time I do that, she seems to be like, I don't want to say testing me less, but realizing that, hey, he's not fighting, he's not arguing. The relationship's much better. So it takes time, but and I don't think it's ever over. But I'm hoping it's a little less and less when she sees that things aren't setting me off. I'm not blowing up. I don't, I don't go crazy because of this or that. I'm like, whatever, okay. I mean, she even mentioned it one time. I think the two of us were out, and she's like, man, that same situation, we probably would have been at each other's throats after about 15 minutes, and you're just completely chill. You don't really care what happened. Okay.
Yeah, you know what's going to happen? What's going to happen is she's going to find new areas to test you in. Areas that which is pretty cool, because you'll get crafted there even better. That's why, they say your wife's the best teacher. Okay, cool. Awesome. What would you have to share for men that are in their head, suffering, hurting, not taking action, procrastinating, or just simply don't know what to do next? What would be your suggestion to them?
That's a difficult one, because I know everyone's a little bit different. I know that I can't imagine, for example, my wife cheating on me, how differently I would react. I think that part of it is just getting to that point of, like I said, my aha moment of whatever happens. Because after that, you can move in any direction. For a long time, like, oh, I hope this marriage works out. This is going to do it. This will be the change all, end all, be all to the relationship. When I got to the point of, okay, well, whether I fix this marriage or not doesn't really matter. It's about whether I fix me. And that was the biggest moment for me.
Okay, so you kind of got tired of expectations from the marriage, of working on the marriage, trying to force her to work on the marriage. Now, those men that are in the situation that you were in,
right?
What do you suggest? How can they get to that point faster where they say, you know what, I really got to do this for myself? Do you have any suggestions for them as to how they can accelerate the process where they can separate themselves from okay, anything I'm doing in the marriage is clearly not working. It's actually accelerating things.
Right.
But they still have that hurt. They still have that expectation. Any suggestions, anything that you can share with the men so that they can get to that point faster, that aha moment that you had?
For me, the space. I like I said, I fought the separation forever, but now I'm like, it should almost be part of the program.
It helped you.
It just doesn't. You can't focus on yourself if there's all that stuff going on around you. And I know that everyone can't do that. Financially, it can be too difficult. More kids, it can be too difficult. But the space to be able to just get out of your own head, stop overthinking, especially with the program. I see it sometimes on the Facebook page that some people, some of the guys are really overthinking the question, and spending a lot of I don't think I spent more than to be honest with you, 30 minutes to an hour on figuring out my terms.
Mm-hmm.
To me, they didn't need to be complicated. They just needed to be precise.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it can be different. People are different. So but just give yourself that space to get out of your head. And whether you're getting out of the house or you're getting out of the house more, leaving for the weekend, whatever, go fishing for the weekend and think about it. I just think that the close proximity, because when my wife asked me to move out last year, and I moved downstairs to the basement thinking, okay, I'll be in the basement, I'll do my stuff, I'll go to work, I'll come home. It wasn't enough space.
Yeah.
It didn't give her time to work on her stuff that she wanted to work on,
Mm-hmm.
because she was always tiptoeing around me and we were a floor apart, and then to me, one of the biggest things is the space. Get out of your head,
Yeah.
work the program, and don't overcomplicate it. And that's to me the easiest way through it.
Mm-hmm. Simplifies everything.
It's not hard. Your worksheets are 2-3 lines. They're not difficult.
I know. It's super simple. As soon as you get out of your head, you can see it very clearly. And the level of commitment also changes.
Right.
Because you're no longer influenced by these external events that are happening.
Right.
And one of the ways, we try to help men get closer to that point is to really have them focus on their purpose. But it's still difficult when it comes to living with the spouse or being in close proximity or coming from a place of expectations, because it sets you up for disappointment. But once you get to that level, then it's straightforward from there. Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, any other thoughts, comments that you may have?
No.
No? Cool.
Not really. I'll be on next Tuesday's call. So
sounds good. And thank you so much for sharing. It's going to help men really get into action. That's the goal here, to have them see that, you know what, a lot is possible. It's just a matter of attitude and commitment and getting out of your head. So awesome. Thanks so much, Gabe. Really appreciate your time. And speak soon. Okay?
All right. Talk to you about Tuesday.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.